I'm Jenny Fish and welcome back to our Flyaway Socks Knit Along. We have progressed through this process of casting on and working the foot and the lace pattern. Now we're ready to wrap this up. We're going to show you how to make the mock short row heel and then move on up the leg to the cuff. So let me show you on this sock. We cast on, we worked the lace. Now we're ready to work this beautiful mock short row heel. Super simple and easy. I can't wait to show you that one. Then we'll move on up, repeat the lace, and finish up the cuff and bind off. So on my sample here, I just have a little tube and I'm going to show you how we start this heel portion. And it's called a mock short row because we're adding stitches to the fabric, but we're not doing that whole short row thing. And just bear with me and let me show you how to do this because it is so easy and fun. Okay, I have knit across needle 1. I'm on needle 2. That's where we're going to start the heel portion. To know where you start your heel portion, let me explain that to you. If you have a sock check here, you have measured the foot that you're making the sock for, and then you have subtracted 2 inches from that length. Slid that into your sock. Let's see, so you would just slide this in here, rest it up against where you cast on. Once your needles are right here in that area, that's where you know you're going to be starting your heel. So this is a very shallow heel. So if you have a long, narrow foot, you may even only want to decrease 1.5 inches to 1 inch so that the sock fits a little better. What I did, the first time I made this, I did 2.5 inches. It just didn't feel right. Once I finished the heel, I slipped it on. That's the great thing because you're knitting from the toe up. You can slide this sock on and test it out at any time. You just slide it to your cable and then you can slide it on the foot and test it out. When I did 2.5, it just didn't feel right on my foot. So I took that out, took the heel out, which is, it's such a super easy heel that taking out is no problem. And then I knit until I had 2 inches shy of my foot size, worked the heel again, and that fit much better for me. But like I said, if you have a long, narrower heel, you actually may want to go to 1 inch shy of the length of the foot so that it fits better and feels more comfortable. But so we've measured, we've figured out where we want to start our heel. We work the heel on needle 2. And that's on the back side of the foot. So needle 1 has your butterfly lace pattern. So needle 1 is where you worked your butterfly pattern. Needle 2 is on the back side. This right here is where we're starting. And this is all in your pattern as well. It'll tell you when, after your measurement, how to work that. So for my example here, I am on needle 2. And the first thing you're going to do is slip the first stitch, and then you work across to the last 2 stitches on your needle, and you work a decrease. I'm on the right side of my work, so my decrease is going to be a knit 2 together. I just slip that first stitch, knit all the way across. So I knit to the last 2 stitches. I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together and then turn my work. I'm not knitting in the round for this heel portion. I'm knitting back and forth, knitting flat. So there's on the front and the back. Now I'm on the inside of my work. I can tell that from the purl bumps looking at me. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna knit this first stitch. That is creating this little bump on the outside of my work that in the pattern we refer to as a bead. So I knit that. It's really a purl bump on the right side. Then I bring my yarn back to the front and I purl to the last 2 stitches of this row. Okay, so I have purled across to the last 2 stitches. I'm going to purl those 2 stitches together and then turn my work again. Now, I'm on the right side of my work. but this very first stitch, I'm gonna purl instead of knit. And the reason I'm doing that is creating that purl bump that's gonna be referred to in your pattern as a bead. These will come in handy later, just like that. Then I go back to knitting to the last 2 stitches, knitting those last 2 stitches together, back and forth, follow your pattern. Once you finish the first half of the heel, meet me back here for the second half of the heel. I have made a little sample here showing you what it will look like. Now keep in mind, this is only one half of yours. You will have the other side as well that's hanging out, waiting on you. The things I want to show you and point out on here. Here are the little beads. They're kind of hard to see right through here that you created on each side. You should have 10 of them on each side. Well, depending on what size you're working on. The size that I made, I had 10 of them on each side. These are the little beads. I'm halfway through this heel. I'm going to show you where the dental floss and these little beads come in handy. So I take some dental floss and thread my tapestry needle, just like that. And I just simply run it through those little beads. There's one. And like I said, I had 10. So if you're doing the larger size, you'll have 10. The smaller size is 9. It says in the pattern. But run it through there, pull, and just let that hang out there for a minute underneath all of those beads. And I do that on both sides. Let me grab some more. I like the tape dental floss too. It's a little thicker, just personal preference. Or you could use scrap yarn. You don't have to use dental floss. But I found that having these in here really helps in the next process of working this heel. There it is. Okay. So I just let those hang out there. Aren't they cute? Not really. They're coming out, trust me. Okay. Get my needle to the right side of my work. Now we're ready to work the second half of the heel. So what I'm going to do is simply knit across. Knit all the way across. Then this bead on the end, I knit into it. It's like picking up a stitch. I just knit right into it. So I've increased one. Then I take the dental floss out from under that bead because I don't want to get confused. So I know that that's already been worked. Turn my work. I'm going to purl across. Oh, get that out of there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to purl my way across. Whoops. There we go. Slippery needles today. Okay, then once I've purled all those stitches, I come find the dental floss, find that stitch, that bead right there, and purl into it. And that creates another stitch. Sometimes it's also easier if you just stick your left needle under the stitch where the dental floss is, see, like that, and then purl into it. And then pull that dental floss out, turn back around, keep going back and forth until you've worked all those bead stitches. Once you've done that, you've formed a perfectly shaped cup right here. See, that's where I've joined all those purl stitches. So then when I'm back, I'm right here. You're back to just knitting in the round. It is that simple. That's this little wedge that you're creating right here by, this is the halfway point, and then you pick up just by knitting into those beads. It is so super simple and so easy. Then you're back to your leg. Once you get to, you knit 4 rounds, regular knitting, stockinette, then you're ready to start the chart for the butterfly. Now the charts are different. There's 2 charts in this pattern, and that's because this butterfly is going this direction, and then this butterfly is going that direction. So in order for the butterflies to go their own directions, they had to have different instructions in the chart. So follow the leg butterfly chart, which is worked over both needle 1 and needle 2. So you have 2 butterflies. Continue that on until you're ready for your ribbing, and then I'll show you how to work the 1x1 ribbing. I've worked up to where I'm ready to start the cuff. I want to go over the 1x1 ribbing. It is so super simple. It's knit 1, purl 1. So we'll show you what that looks like here. Just knit 1 and bring the yarn to the front and purl. Take the yarn to the back and knit. Just go back and forth. And like I said earlier, if there is another cuff that you prefer, like a 2x2 or 3x2, mix it up however you like. You may have to do a little extra math to make it all work out. Maybe knit 2 together so that your numbers work out to the ribbing that you prefer. But we're gonna just work this ribbing. I usually go for about 1 inch, 1.5 inches. Again, that's another knitter's preference. If you wanna make your ribbing 2 inches, you will have enough yarn for a longer cuff if you want, because I had plenty of yarn left over from both skeins. So whichever one you choose, you'll have, and you're at the end of your sock, so you can always, you'll see how much yarn you have, so you can keep going. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this round, and then I wanna show you a real easy stretchy bind off and talk about binding off on your socks, because that can get a little confusing sometimes. Let's see, I split my yarn there, but I just fixed that. Okay, so go ahead, work your way around, and then I'll show you how to bind off. Binding off our socks. Let's take a moment to talk about this, because if you bind off too tightly, guess what? You're never gonna get the sock on. So you want a stretchy bind off. There's a couple different ways to do that. The quickest, easiest way, I can tell you straight out the gate, is guess what? Switch out your needles to a larger size needle and then just bind off like normal. Now, it's not gonna be stretchy, but it will be wider. Another way is the stretchy bind off that I wanna show you. Another way is crochet hook bind. There's so many different ways you can search, but my favorite way is the stretchy bind off that I'm getting ready to show you right now. I just want to talk about it because this is the important part. If you don't get this where you can slip it over your foot, then you're never going to wear your socks. So to start working, we knit the first stitch, and then we purl the second stitch, and then we lift the first stitch up and over, and I'm going to repeat that again. And the reason why I like this stretchy bind off is because I can stretch it to give it over my foot. Then once it's up on my leg, it kind of goes back in so it doesn't flare out and become a quitter sock. Because we don't like those quitter socks, you know, the ones that flip down, slide down, and then you have flip-flop ears, and yeah, it's not pretty. Okay, I'm purling the next one, flipping this up and over. So here, this is my little trick. And there's several different ways to do it, but I'm gonna show you how I do it. I go into the stitch underneath the stitch on the needle. So I go right down here in the heart of that stitch, stick my needle in, wrap my yarn around, bring it back up, and then slide that onto my needle. Then I knit into that loop again. Whoops, I picked up my tail there. Knit into that loop, bind that off like that. Then I knit into the normal stitch the normal way, slip that up and over. So I work 4 stitches, then I work that stitch. So I work a a knit stitch and a purl stitch, then a knit stitch, and then a purl stitch. And you notice I'm actually, whatever that stitch was before, like that was a purl stitch, I'm purling that, then I'm lifting it up and over to bind off. Then I'm back to this. I'm gonna go through the center of that stitch, bring that up, knit into that, then knit into the next one, then bring my yarn forward, purl, yarn back. So I just keep that pattern in my head and keep working all the way along as I'm binding off. And I'll show you on these finished socks what that looks like. So I have this rib right across here. You can see where the extra stitches come in, but I get this stretchiness that comes back in when I let go. So it keeps it nice and neat and gives me that added stretch to slide it over my foot. Once you're done binding off, then you're ready to block. Now with mine, I put them in lukewarm water with some wool wash. I use Eucalan, let it soak for about 30 minutes. Do not wring. Be sure that you just kind of roll it up, squish it, roll it up in a towel. You don't want to wring it out, it'll distort your stitches. And then you can use the One Big Happy Sock Blockers. Now you slide this piece in, find your shoe size, slide it in, and then you can take some yarn and sew them all up together. And then slide that in, let them dry, hang them up, they're so cute, and finish them to dry. That's all I did, and they look so cute. I love them. Thank you so much for joining me for the Flyaway Lace Socks. I really enjoyed coming up with this pattern. When it hit me, it was just like, boom, I gotta make these socks. So I got out a sketch pad and I made the lace design. I'm super proud of these and the butterfly pattern on them. I love the Judy Magic casts on and the mock short row heel. These knit up pretty quick and easy. Don't forget, if you haven't got your kit, you can check us out at onebighappy.com and get the kit that includes the yarn and the pattern. Thank you so much for joining me, and happy knitting!